Hey everyone, it's Dominic the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Thanks for coming by to check out another video. You know, it's been a while since I went to grab one of those boxes from that big storage unit that I purchased. So let's go and get another one of those boxes. This is the one with the comic books and the Dungeons and Dragons and some miscellaneous things here or there. And we have time to knock out about one of them tonight. So let's go grab one of them. Let's go process it with Mrs. Primetime, and let's see what kind of goodies we can find inside. So let's head off into the garage. Okay, so just to show you where we are at this point, you could still see I have two pallets pretty much still full. Have not done any unboxing since the last time you saw me tackle this storage unit. I have cleared up some space over here, and this is where I am storing a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons items that I'm just pulling from and trying to list throughout the week. And then once they get listed, I move them to a different location downstairs in Primetime Treasure headquarters, near where I do most of my regular videos where I'm sitting down. I've listed a few more DVDs, so this is what we've got left here. They've been selling pretty well. And this white box is the one we processed the last time we did comic books, but that one hasn't been processed, neither has that, and neither has that. So it's about 10 o'clock at night. We're gonna just try to tackle one box, and I'm just gonna grab this one because I just like to kind of try to eventually get these all done. So we'll just grab this one. Looks like a cool little book maybe there on top. And the other thing I'm gonna grab is this game. I want to get this out of here. This is some Midway board game, so we'll take this out too and see what's inside. I did a little sneak peek of this when I went to pick up the items from the storage unit, but I didn't get to look at it in depth, so I'm looking forward to taking a peek in here again, and we'll also process this box. So let's get at it. Mrs. Primetime will be helping me as usual. Daisy's pretty tired. I don't know if she's gonna come down, but she probably will, because once she smells one of these boxes, she just can't seem to resist doing her quality control inspection. So let's get in there. All right, so I am curious to look inside of this thing. I do not remember what is in it. Here we go. Midway Naval Air Battle Game. 12 years and up. Daisy, what do you think? Oh, why do I forgot? Daisy's wearing her her comic book outfit right there with the POW and the, what's it say? Oh, it says Bow Wow on it. Bow Wow, like for the POW and the Batman. It's pretty funny. Anyway, all right. So hopefully, I don't know. Let's see. Let's slide it out of here. Oh, sorry, shaking the screen there. Maybe Miss Primetime can help me out here. Can you get this out of here? Miss Primetime's kind of like Silent Bob from Clerks. She never says anything. See, she won't say anything. She just threw that back here. All right, I'm gonna have to turn this off a second and pull this out. Hold on. Okay, no way. So I'm just about to pull out this toy from this box, and Miss Primetime's like, "Look at this. This is crazy. This is a really old Daredevil comic book, number 44. I mean, that's crazy. Now, you see there, it has that's called a date stamp. Those are very common in the old comic books, these 12-cent Silver Age issues. That does not really do much to diminish the value, and this really looks like it's in good shape. I mean, I'm impressed. Look at the colors on that. I mean, that is nice. You just want to be careful with these when they have tape on it that you don't catch it onto the book. But this is already kind of sheared off, so I don't really have to worry about it. But if we look at the condition of this one, I mean, this is, look at this. This is really nice. There's no creases on it. There's no, I mean, there's a little bit of a smudge there, but there's no rips. This is a beautiful, wow. I am super impressed. Let's check out the year on this baby. You can see here, this is a 1968 issue. I am impressed. This is in just incredible condition. I have got to see what this one goes for. I will be right back. So if I sent this one off to get professionally graded and it came back near mint, this could be a $135 comic book, but I'm not going to invest the money and the time into that process. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. This book is otherwise probably like a $30-$35 book max. But it's because there's nothing significant that happened in the issue, and while it is an earlier book, it's it's still from the late 60s as opposed to the early 60s, and there's nothing significant that really happened in it. I mean, this character here is called the Jester, but he's no one that went on to become some famous type of character within the Marvel Universe. So, all these different things kind of factor in terms of whether or not the book is going to have a lot of value. So, if this was some, brand new character that wound up becoming famous, then a whole nother story, but it's not. So anyway, still a cool find. Gonna put it to the side, and maybe we could combine it with some other old Daredevil books if we find any, and we'll see. We'll just put it to the side. I've done very well with some old Daredevil. Well, speaking of old Daredevil books, look what Mrs. Primetime just stopped me from stopping the camera. Look at this. We've got number 42. Now we're talking. Miss Primetime's pulling out of there, number 40 right now. Now this is, see folks, this is another story. When you could do this and now you could combine these, you've got 40, 42, 44, and they're also in awesome shape. I mean, just look at that. These are just really nice. You're just looking for those bright covers without any creases on them, without any rips, without any stains. That's what you're looking for, and especially pay attention to 12-cent issues with superhero characters. So now I get a lot more money out of these by combining them. Hopefully we'll find some others along the way. Now, one thing I see that I am excited about is Miss Primetime has a Dragonlance book over here, and I love anything Dragonlance. I've told you before, TSR, if you could find it, anything published by TSR is good to pick up. I've not seen this one before, and I am a big Dragonlance fan. Now, it should still sell, but it does say book 3, which means there's a book 1 and a book 2. So hopefully those might be around somewhere. So I'll hang up. Oh, look at that. That's really cool inside. So this one here is from 1988. So that's cool. We're in the 80s, and that's what you want for these Dragon books, is you want the ones from the 80s. This is really nice. I'll have to see how well these sell individually, as opposed to if you don't have the whole set, like book 1 and 2 with it. See, now you really have to have all 3 of these in order for them to sell. Books 1, 2, and 3 together sell for around $14, which is surprising to me because there's just not that many of them around. So I'm not really sure quite why that is. Maybe just this particular one in this particular series here wasn't that popular, but I personally love it, and I will have no problem hanging on to this myself. That's one of the cool things about purchasing collections of things with things you like, is that if you find something that you like yourself that doesn't sell, well, guess what? You can keep it yourself. Okay, here's that game that I took out of that box right here. It's the old Midway naval air battle game. Now, in terms of comps, this game doesn't come up too often. It did sell recently for only $20, but that's because the person advertised it as is. He really didn't do much in terms of counting the parts inside and the pieces and making sure things are there. And you can see there's like a lot of little small pieces and ships and stuff, and there's all sorts of maps. Now, a good thing is that these look like they are in pretty decent shape, although this one has some pen marks and some check marks on the that one score sheet. But this looks probably kind of like a battleship type of game. Yeah, now this would be a problem if there's no blank score sheets that people could copy from. You see how they're all written on, so that's going to be a problem for reselling it. Well, let's see here. Hold on. So we've got these, and these are still blank ones, so that's good. So I'll probably just toss these. Okay, we don't need to include those or even show them. It'll just decrease the value if you do that. So we'll just include these as the score sheets, and then I will at some point look into these little pieces and make sure that we have what we need here for it. And then once I do that and I make a proper accounting of it, I could probably sell it for a heck of a lot more than $20. So you do have to take a little time sometime with these games to to maximize the value out of it. And there's not another one of these right now on the market. So if you could corner the market on an old game like this, then you could do well. If you just want to flip it really fast and you don't want to invest the time into it, then you just do what the other guy did and say sold as is, and you kind of let the buyer take a risk. But the trade-off for that is that you are going to get less money. So it all depends on how you want to play it. Okay, now I'm going to teach you something. If you don't know anything about comics, get your pen out or your pencil out and a piece of paper and jot this down. This is a comic series called the New Mutants. They are very common. You're going to see them all the time when you see comic book collections. They produced a bunch of them. However, the ones that you are going to have a difficult time finding is New Mutants 98 and New Mutants 87. New Mutants 98, which is not here, is the first appearance of a character called Deadpool, who many of you have probably heard and seen in the movies. There is another character called Cable. He first appeared in New Mutants 87. Now, New Mutants 98, if it's near mint, not graded, it's about a $300 comic book. New Mutants 87 is also a valuable comic book as well. We are hoping that it is somewhere in this box. You could see it's a long box. Miss Primetime's pulled a lot of it out so far. Okay, so we're digging for it. We're hoping we find it. We've never found a collection that has had it in it, but we are hoping that this will be the one. So we'll keep looking. Okay, so we just found something super cool. I have never seen this before. This is an old Superman digest book, as you can see. It is from another country, and it appears to me that it may be from Turkey. And the reason why I say that is when I open it up, look right here, it looks like it says Turkey there. I'm gonna flip through this a bit and show you some of the language, and some of you might even know by looking at this what language this is. I'm not sure. I don't speak Turkish, but I don't know. Well, we will investigate and find out. I can't find any comps on this. This looks like it's some type of 1970s book, most likely. That's my guess, just based on seeing other Superman digests. And this may be the type of thing that I would try to possibly auction because, it is Superman after all. It's old. There's Superman collectors out there that probably have never seen this and would want it. And such a low frequency item. I do know that comic books that come from other countries can do pretty well on the resale market. So we will just have to see what happens with this one. This is very exciting. This is something that I am going to take some prime interest in from this box. So this is not like going back in there. This is staying out, and I'm gonna do some research on this. All right, so sometimes you'll find a random book that's not a comic book. It might have like some cartoons in it, like this one, and they could wind up being valuable. So this one, if you ever see this around, like at a garage sale or rummage sale, pick it up. It says Best Cartoons from the Grapevine. A lot of people don't realize that this book is actually a cartoon book that was put out by Alcoholics Anonymous. So the jokes are all kind of like, alcohol-related types of jokes here. So, as you can see over here, what's this one? So I recommend AA, now he's sober, and when he tells his story, he refers to me as a quack. So this is an old book, as you can see here. It's from 1965, and in terms of value, if it's a first printing, this book could go for around $40. So you have to go and look in the front to see the printing here and see. And there you go, first printing. So this one should resell well. Has a little bit of discoloration on the outside, some of which I'll be able to wipe off. But another good find that just shows up in the box there. Cool. Okay, so just showing you some little stacks Miss Primetime's handing me here. Some of these things aren't really worth much, so I'll just kind of flip over and tell you a few things here or there. One is this comic company, Valiant. If you ever see it, don't pick this stuff up. It's pretty much worthless. Almost anything with the Valiant stamp. There's exceptions, but in general, just stay away from Valiant stuff. It's just pretty much overproduced, a bunch of overproduced titles that really just don't resell well. There's not people looking for it. This Beauty and the Beast is cool as a #2 issue, but as you can see, there's supposed to be 3 more, so hopefully they pop up somewhere amongst the other comic books. We've got some other books here, like this series Miss Primetime's putting together here. This is a 7-part series, Atlantis Chronicles. So we have book 1, we have book 2, we have book 3. They're in great shape too. Book 4, book 5, and book 6, and of course we can't find book 7 anywhere. So hopefully that one turns up as well. That's an annoying thing that happens sometimes. But the good thing about when you have complete sets like this, it's very easy to check comps online, and then if you wound up purchasing them in a big collection like this, you could easily undercut all the other prices on them, especially once you've made your money back with the collection, as I have in this collection. So this is the character I was telling you about earlier. His name is Cable. He's the one who appears in New Mutants 87 as a first appearance. This one I'm going to pull out and look up because the Captain Marvel movie just came out, and this is a #1 issue. So hopefully this one might have some good resale value. I'm not sure. I have to look into that. So we've got some Conan the Barbarians, and while I love Conan the Barbarian, these modern ones really don't have much value. You have to lot them together with other Conan books to resell them. Okay, this is another comic book company that you should look out for every once in a while. It's called Eclipse. They didn't last too long. They were around in the 1980s, and one of the characters they came out with was this guy right here called Crossfire. And so there were 26 issues of Crossfire, and he also came out with these little mini series here and there. So this one's called Crossfire and Rainbow, and as you can tell, that's Rainbow right there. This one right here, all 4 of them are in here, so that's a complete set, and they're in great shape. So the max value on this one is somewhere around 14, 15 bucks. So not bad though for 4 bucks. So I'll take that and just add it in the pile. All right, Miss Primetime put this little stack together here. So I'm just gonna flip them over, and if there's any titles I want to tell you anything about, I will. If I don't say anything about the title, that means that there's really nothing too exciting about it. So, because if I was to go through every single one of these, it would just take forever because there are so many different books. So, if you have any questions on something that you see as I'm flipping through it, certainly let me know in the comments section and I will respond, get back to you. Excalibur, very common series. You're gonna see it around the lot. The good thing about this one is it's a first issue. So I like having that, and that will have some resale value. It's not gonna go for a ton of money, but it is a first issue, and so that one will resell. We've got some older issues here. You can see we've got some 75 centers. Firestorm is one of those middle of the road characters that I would say he has some interest in him, but not a ton. This guy right here, if you're just trying to identify characters, that's Captain Atom. That's a little atom symbol there on his chest. So just so you familiarize yourself with some of these characters. This is also, I had this book when I was a kid. This comic book company called Now. They are one that was just not around that long. They put out a bunch of titles kind of all at once, and they just kind of folded. I just couldn't make it. And so if you could find full sets of some of these titles with now right there, then you could do well on it. But selling kind of like a random one like this can be a challenge sometimes. Guardians of the Galaxy, popular because of the movie. But if you just find a random book, it's going to be hard to sell unless it's like a #1 issue. But the more of them you find and combine together, the better the chance you will have to sell them. And here you can see there's a bunch of Guardians of the Galaxy books here. This is Martian Manhunter. You will see him a lot. Get that green face in your memory. You need to be able to identify these characters when you are out and about. So Martian Manhunter, this is a first issue for him. It's not worth a lot of money, but still, you know, if I could find other Martian Manhunter books, I will put them together with it. This is the Eternals. You could see there's some waviness to the book over here, so there's some condition issues with it. This is a 1970s book based on the 30-cent mark here. So this one, if we open it up here, we'll see here, this one is from 1976. So, you know, you'll see the Eternals every once in a while. This is something you want to combine again with other comics. So if you're noticing a theme, a lot of comic books, in fact, the bulk of them, you're not gonna be able to sell them individually. You need to combine them. Now, this is a very, very popular title, What If? It basically would say, what if certain things happen to a character, and then it would explore it in the book. And so if you could get a bunch of what if titles together, and we certainly are going to find a lot of those. Miss Primetime found this one here, for example, what if the Punisher had killed Daredevil? So you just keep combining them, and then you could resell them. Moon Knight, popular character. Again, you've got to lot it together though to sell them well. His real name is Mark Spector. That's why you will see that sometimes it says Mark Spector, Moon Knight. And so again, you're doing these combos to sell off these little lots. Try to get them in consecutive numbers as much as possible, like issue 6, 7, 8, 9. Put them together. The more you could do those little continuous runs, the better. Something like this is literally worthless. And so what are you gonna do with this? Even if you combined it, it's not gonna sell. This is something I might like put up in a garage sale, and some, you know, someone comes by and buys some of them for their kids, so they have some comic books to, you know, to have. This is, let's see, Power of the Atom. Not a popular title either. So even though it's an not too old, but yeah, this one's not going to resell well either. Predator, on the other hand, is a good comic to have, especially if you combine it with Alien comic books. So Alien and Predator go together well. And I'm going to give this one back to Mrs. Primetime because she has found a bunch of Punishers over there. So I'm going to have her toss it in with those. This comic company you should definitely pay attention to, Comico. It does have kind of a cult following of people who like Comico books, including this Robotech. There were 36 issues of Robotech, this Macross saga, and if you had all 36 of them, that could sell for about $100. Now, we only have a few of them that we found so far, but we'll keep adding them up and seeing how close we could get to that complete set of 36. You never know, it could just be scattered all over the place. Because when I picked them up at that guy's house, he was just grabbing them randomly and just tossing them in all sorts of different boxes. So yeah, see, there's 35 and there's 36. That's that last issue. Yeah, you see it says right there, climactic last issue. And then there's some other Robotech books as well, but this is by a different comic company called Eternity. There's not many books out by that company. Did not last long. You could see, here's another one. So you could just, you know, even if I don't have all 36 books, you see what I would do is I combine them with these Robotech books as well. And hopefully someone who's interested in Robotech will buy all these books together. So again, just continuing that theme of lotting things together. There's a lot of these Robotech 2 books in here. There's just a bunch of them. Look at that. Wow. Just keep going with it. Some more. ROM pop. You know what? I'm gonna have to start putting these in the box because this is starting to get a little out of control. So that's part of the processing. Get them in that box, get it sorted, then we could go through some of these other books. Okay, so I've got these sorted. Still got a while to go before we fill the box, but now we could work a little easier. That does happen sometimes with comic books, by the way, is they sometimes will fall back like that. No big deal. Usually doesn't damage them, especially if you have them in bags or bags and boards. But that's why one of the things you want to do, actually, and I'm just kind of wiped. It's 11 o'clock right now, so, but you could just kind of tilt them forwards like that, so they're on like a little bit of an angle, and that will prevent them from falling, again, if you're worried about that. But these here, you know, this is ROM annual, ROM, some people call it, but you know, this is one of these titles where, again, you have to lot them together in order to be able to sell them for the most part. Now, this one is an exception because it is an annual, meaning that it's a much thicker size comic book for Marvel. That means it's a 64-page book as opposed to the usual, you know, 30 or 32-page comic book. So this one here, this ROM annual, the max up value on something like this would be around $10. There's some other books here as well. This is how DC would do their annuals, and these were bigger. These were 80-page, or what they call giant issues. So this one here is for Teen Titans. It's from 1989. Does not have a ton of value, but this title is good, Secret Origins, and so you know, you might find some other ones and then kind of toss this in there and make a deal, like kind of like a bulk deal. Collectors love annuals, by the way, just so you know. So they are popular. And this is the regular Secret Origins series where they, you know, talk about the origins of these characters. So pretty cool. There's some books in here like this Shadow Masters that's not going to have much value. Okay, we've got Silver Surfer. This is my favorite comic book character right here. He explores outer space on his silver surfboard, and even though I really love him, these later books, these more modern books, the $1.50 ones, they really don't go for much. It's not that you can't sell them, you can, but again, same theme is that you have to lot these things together in order to sell them. Okay, this is Strike Force by Image Comics. It's not worth a lot of money in and of itself, so we're just gonna put it to the side. This is the Transformers. This one here is a newer version. You could tell that from the price of $1.75 plus the block script Marvel logo, as opposed to these right here, which are older, does not have that same logo. This is issue 23. It's a 75 center, so the 75-cent ones are from the 80s. Over here, you could see we've got some more Transformer comics here, so that's good because again, that makes you able to put these in lots and sell them off to somebody. Now, it looks like this whole stack here is well, I thought all of it was Transformers, but no, there are some other things here as well. If it's not popular, I'm just going to kind of move past it. There's some old X-Men books in here for those of you who may remember these back in the day, but we do have some Uncanny X-Men around as well. Okay, so this is Elektra. She is one of Daredevil's girlfriends, and sometimes she goes against him in the comic books to battle him, so they kind of have this love-hate relationship. You could identify her very easily with her red outfit and her long black hair, and she does have a pretty strong following, so it will be easy to sell these books, particularly since they are consecutive. We've got a number 5, then we've got number 6 right here, and number 7, and it just keeps going. So once again, as I've talked about with a lot of these other books, you will just lot these together and sell them to one happy customer for a good price. She is popular amongst women and men. And there's Daredevil right there for people who are not familiar with some of these characters, in which it's brand new. And you can see here, sometimes they have a love interest. It's very similar to, in a way, Batman and Catwoman, in terms of how they kind of have like a romantic interest towards one another, but then go against each other at different points. So eventually, at some point in the comic series of Daredevil, Elektra got popular enough that she was able to carry her own series. And I've sold a lot of Elektra things. I've sold Elektra art, just Elektra themed merchandise. People really like that type of stuff. I'm gonna have to take this out of this board here because the board is bent. The comic itself is not bent, it's just the board, so you want to make sure you take that out of there just to get everything nice and straight again. So there's some other ones here as well. So again, this is just a nice easy lot of Elektra books. I'm happy with what I'm seeing here, especially since, again, they're consecutive. So people like that they could, make a purchase and that they're going to have a continuous story that they could read. So once again, Elektra, there she is. For those of you who are trying to learn and identify new comic characters, this is one you definitely should know. Okay, so this is another character you definitely should know. His name is the Punisher. His real name is Frank Castle. He's really not a superhero. He's really a vigilante type of character, kind of like Charles Bronson in Death Wish. His wife and his kids were murdered, and so he goes after the mob who were responsible for their deaths, and then he takes on this crusade against crime in general. He's often shown carrying around a really powerful weapon, often a machine gun or Uzi, that type of thing. So when he first came out, he was really popular, especially when he came out with his initial series, which is what I'm showing you right here. But the problem is that Marvel started to overdo it with the Punisher, and they started to spin off all of these other series. Like you could see here, then they put out, and I'm not saying this in order, but they did the Punisher War Journal, they did the Punisher War Zone, they did the Punisher Armory. There's just so many Punishers that came out. So because they overdid it, the result of that is that there's just too many Punisher books out there. And so unless you're dealing with a very early issue, a #1 issue or something like that, you really got to flip these again as a lot. And you could do well with them, but you have to get them in these big collections like I've got here. So you could take, let's say, 100 Punisher comic books and flip them for around $200. That includes the shipping. So there is some money to be made in it, but you have to make sure that you're getting Punishers at low price. You cannot spend a lot of money on these because you will lose. This character, by the way, is Jigsaw. That's his main enemy. You can see his face is scarred, and it has like a jigsaw pattern to the scarring, which is why he is called Jigsaw. There's a lot of characters out there who have facial scarring. If you think about it, there's Davros and Doctor Who. There's the or they have like just something weird with their face, like the Emperor, and just like that seems to be a theme amongst a lot of evil bad guys out there. There's something wrong with their face. So here we go again. That's why you've got the jigsaw puzzle theme here to the book. And so just in case you see him out there. In fact, this one here, you could pull something like this out and sell it separately. It's called the Jigsaw Puzzle. It's kind of like a mini series within the comic book. So even though right there that says issue 35, and you can see here we've got a little spine roll. That's what you call that, a little spine roll to the book. So that could flatten out. You've just got to make sure you press it together amongst all those other books there, and over time it will flatten, and we'll get it in a bag and a board and that type of thing. But you can see here they have a little story mini series. So you've got #1 right there, and then you've got #2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's good that we have that. And there's some other Punisher series that are out there, like right over here. This is a series, a comic company called Max, and they make these explicit comics. So there's a lot of explicit content, a lot of violence inside of these. Not that there's not violence inside of those, but this is just more kind of in your face and more explicit. So these would be ones that I would probably piece out and sell the Max ones separately for a collector who's, you know, looking for more explicit type of content versus, you know, someone who's younger who would maybe gravitate more towards you know, towards these, or someone who's older also who's looking to get back some of the classics and doesn't really want, you know, something this explicit. So there's, even amongst Punisher collectors, there are people who would like different levels of the violence in their comic book. So you have to keep that in mind as well. And so I'm just going to file all these. Mrs. Primetime did a great job sorting all these and putting them in order for me. So good job, Mrs. Primetime. She is sleeping right now. She went off to bed after getting everything organized here for me. So just wanted to show you this little Punisher lot that we have here, and I'll put it right there in the box. All right, well, there we have it. Another box eliminated, emptied, and organized, and now much more easy to access and get listed. So another successful night getting through another one of these boxes. All right, everyone, so that was a good time. There were some really interesting items in there. I would say number one, the one I am the most fascinated with and I'm really looking forward to doing some research on, is this Superman one. So remember, if you can identify the language that I showed you inside this book, let me know. Right now I'm working on the assumption that it is Turkish, but we will see. I'm going to do a little bit more work in terms of research and see if I could find anything else on it beyond what I was able to just do on my phone while we were you know, filming the video. So, you know, we'll see. I'm hoping this shows up in a What's Sold video pretty soon. So we'll see what happens with this one. And of course, the other thing that I'm very excited about were these old Daredevil books, just kind of get it out of the glare. So that's very exciting as well, to grab a few of those so I could lot those together. So you know, we'll just keep going out and hitting up those boxes every once in a while just to kind of mix things up on the channel. Seems like there's definitely a subsection of people here who like those unboxing videos. I don't want to do those all the time because people will get bored of it and sick of it. So I'm just trying to spread it out here and there. But if you like the video, make sure you hit the like button, give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel as we inch closer and closer to 4,000 and hopefully 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We just crossed 3,500 subscribers, so I'm excited about that. Make sure you come to the Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. The link to that's down below in the description section, as well as to my Instagram. That's at prime_time_treasure. I'll see everyone back at the next video, everyone. Take care.